let's try that. How are we doing? Okay, I just changed the microphone setting there. How are we now? Are we back? Okay. So you can all hear me. Good, good. Sorry about that. This is a newer microphone. I'm having issues with it, so I'm trying to make sure it's okay. Northwest Morphs, Tony is here. Jotaro is here. Christine Corrigan, excellent. Warren is here. Kevin Zay, Stephen Sager. Lots of people. Braden is here as well. Good to see you all here. So I would like to share with you something here that I don't think you've seen before. There is, um, this is a crocheted crested gecko my daughter made. Isn't that cool? I love it. It's pretty fun. Um, she does some pretty cool stuff. And she's working on, let's see, did I show you the jumping spider? I don't remember if I did. Did I show you the jumping spider that she's working on here too? This is a prototype. We're going to make a few little modifications, but I still think it came out pretty well. The chelicerae, we're going to move the pedipalps a little closer to the chelicerae, but the eyes came out fantastic, I think, and the general body shape came out really well. So we'll probably move the legs a little bit too, but she's doing some fun stuff. So she's working on a snake now as well. So I'm digging it. We're probably going to bring some of these to the expo, and the next expo we're doing is April or May. Either late April or early May, and we're going to bring some of these to it. And I think that'll be fun. So, and she takes orders if anybody's interested. Oh, I think this was due to shaving. I was shaving a little roughly, and it kind of messed me up. Let's see. What morph is it? That's a good question. Um, Polyester blend, I think, maybe. Not sure. And my daughter is, she's 20, but you know, this is a hobby she picked up recently. It's pretty cool. Can she do dart frogs? I bet she could. I bet she could. She does all kinds of things. Her room is full of crochet things like jellyfish, and someone were around and could grab one of the jellyfish she does. She's got jellyfish hanging from the ceiling. She's got the ceiling painted as an ocean. She's got crocheted corals and rays and sharks and stuff in there. It's pretty cool. Life-size Komodo dragons. For the right price, she probably does. Oh, I love it. If she were to make a jumping spider for Tarantula Cat, we would totally send her one of those. I wonder if Tarantula Cat would do that. I did an interview with Tarantula Cat, and she was really fun to have on the live stream. So I bet she would dig that. Good idea, Kevin. Okay, Northwest Morphs Tony, do you or have you kept Christarmadillidium loricatum? And if so, any tips, please? I do have that species. Recently got it. Easy Eddie sent me some of them. But the thing is, I would love to give you some tips, but I don't have any tips yet because I just barely started keeping it. When was that? I want to say October. I could be wrong. Maybe it was November. I don't know. It was fairly recently. I feel like I can't give you any tips because I'm not qualified to, because as far as I know, they're not even breeding yet. And I really hesitate to give anybody tips on something I just started keeping. I want to make sure that once I'm breeding them comfortably and, you know, multi-generational and they're doing super well, I feel like, okay, now I can start giving people tips, but not quite yet. Stephen Sager, the tips to being a good father. It's another thing I feel like I don't know that I'm qualified to give tips on. My kids are wonderful, but one of them is married now. The rest of them are, you know, still at home and stuff. When I'm like 65 and they're all grown up and having their own kids and that kind of stuff, if that's what they decide to do, then maybe I can give you some good tips. But I will tell you something in all honesty. I think spending time with your kids and finding out what they love and sharing what you love with them, that's huge. And that goes both ways. Find out what they love, share that with them. Find out, and you know what you love, so share that with them. Do both. Make sure you spend the time that you can do both of those things. That goes a long way. How many bumblebee-sized millipedes can live in a 5-gallon tank? TTV. Great question. I would say it depends on the depth of your substrate more than it does on the size. I mean, the volume and the measurements of 5-gallon, that does play into it. But if you have 6 inches of substrate in there, you can accommodate more bumblebee millipedes than if you had, say, an inch of substrate. I thought I had this silent. Sorry, everybody. Seriously did. I'm just watching. I've got a corn snake in here who's crawling around, and I have to make sure I know where he is. So so we'll see how that goes. So a lot of people are requesting blue death feigning beetles. Um, great idea. I will talk to my daughter about it. I bet she'd be up for that. Polyester cappuccino, yes. Yeah, and Rochelle Workman, that's part of the reason my daughter does it. It really helps de-stress, helps with mental health. So helps her de-stress, and I think it's a great thing. So Isopods with me. Missed the last 2 streams, one because of life, second because of my boneheaded bad at managing my free time. No worries. I got close to missing this one. Life has been crazy, so I get it. We've had, my phone broke yesterday. Our car had to be in the shop. One of our cars had to be in the shop. It's just been crazy. We're juggling all these things today, and crazy. Yeah, Eddie is awesome, Andrew Roy, isn't he? Totally awesome. Sent me some lovely things, and some of them have already reproduced. I think my Castodacia have reproduced. My Porcelio spinicornis yellow have reproduced. I'm trying to remember what else he sent. The Christarmidlidium, I don't think yet. Oh, the Cubaris marina anemone have reproduced, and I'm trying to think what else he sent. So a lot of them have already reproduced. So sorry, I'm missing a lot of the chat. I'm trying to catch up. My brain's trying to catch up too. I see that Aunt Sandy Skinks has joined in. Awesome. So Isopods with me, what is some type of pet you would like and is within reach, but you just have not gotten a hold of yet? Within reach, define within reach. I'll give you an answer and see if this fits. But meaning something that I could afford and it's not unattainable, or something that I have space for. Awesomely, sorry, I'm reading comments as I'm speaking. Actually, there are a lot of creatures I would love to keep, but unfortunately, I am running out of space right now. I'm not completely out of space, but I am to the point where if I'm going to get anything else, I really need to look into it and manage my space. When I adopted all those isopods a few live streams ago, and you got to see me open up the enclosures and so on, I wasn't too worried because most of those species I already had, and so I could consolidate cultures. But as far as if someone were to bring me that many isopod species and I couldn't consolidate any cultures, I don't have room. I don't know where I'd put them. So that's a thing. But I really want to do emerald tree skinks. And recently I was watching a live, no, it wasn't a live, it was a live stream by, it was on IsoBuddy's channel with Wally Kern of Supreme Gecko. They were doing the Pariodora picta geckos. And I thought, wow, those are super cool. That sounds kind of fun, and that's something I could possibly manage too. Any tips on isopod parenting? Well, one of them is make sure not to get too impatient about Mankai, and make sure to let the isopods do their thing. Make sure they're getting enough water, make sure they're getting food, but kind of leave their hides alone for a while. And I usually find if I do that for a month or so, almost always I get babies. Let's see. So I'm behind quite a bit, and if I miss something, feel free to bring it up again. I see Grayson is asking a question about desert beetle communal. I recently filmed an update. In fact, yesterday I filmed an update on my desert beetle communal, and I'll be showing it this Friday. So you'll get an update on that vivarium. And thank you, Ramingo. I appreciate that. That's awesome. So, oh, Kevin has some Spirobolus catalanus, the Thai rainbow millipedes coming. I love that species. I want that species. That was one of the species that got me interested in millipedes back in the day before I started with millipedes. The first millipede I kept was the fire legs, flame legs. That's what they call them, flame legs, not fire legs. Fire legs, tarantula, flame legs is, I think there's a flame leg tarantula too, but anyway, flame leg millipedes, not fire legs. Super cool. And but Thai rainbow is one of the ones I was thinking of as at a time. Whip scorpions as a crochet. I'm wondering that sounds pretty awesome actually. You could put like some kind of wire or something in and then make the whip. So Braden, do you expect to be selling mini pseudoscorpion colonies this year? That remains to be seen. We'll see in the spring. They tend to go, in my experience, they tend to go for a kind of a period during which they're not as active in the winter. So I don't really know how many I have. I hope they haven't crashed. But last winter, they went kind of semi-dormant and I didn't see very many of them. And then in the spring, they all popped out and did their thing. So if they do that in the spring, I have 3 colonies going. So I could probably part with a couple. I've got some people on the waiting list. But if my colonies did indeed crash, which I hope they did not, then I'll have to start again. So we'll see how that goes. So theropod hunter, I haven't kept orange-headed cockroaches, but I see them kept as both feeders and pets. I think that's true of many, many roaches. And emerald tree skinks are definitely on my radar. I was so close to adopting some. And again, the issue was space. I had someone who said, I can't keep these, and I would even give them to you. And I was just devastated that I couldn't keep them. I love them. Having interacted with Clint's emerald tree skinks on a number of occasions, every time I go there, pretty much. I don't know if I did the last time I was there or not. I think we were kind of too busy filming the last time I was there, but usually when I go there, we have some downtime, and we're interacting with things. And he was showing me some other things last time, so I don't know if we got around to the emerald tree skinks. But almost every time I've gone there, we play with the emerald tree skinks. I absolutely adore them, and that is the next lizard on my radar for sure. So Stuff Guy, the dairy cow isopods are awesome. They reproduce very quickly. They're super active, insane feeding response, but be prepared to deal with lots of them. So if you want to get them and you have a way of dealing with large numbers of them, awesome. If you're not quite prepared to deal with hundreds to thousands of them eventually in some way, then look elsewhere. And welcome, Chris Campbell. I see you're there. And Random T, I don't remember if I came up with the medical tape on the ventilation holes or not, the breathable medical tape. I cannot remember. I did it a long time ago. I started spreading it around, but I don't know if I was the first one to come up with it or not, to be honest. I have no idea. It's been a long time. Oh, the bug hub's here. Awesome. So Christine, you definitely buy a crochet chameleon and a dart frog. Cool. Good to know. Anyone who's watching who is interested in the crochet creatures from my daughter, please comment on this video afterwards or send me a message on Instagram or email, because I'm doing my best to keep this in mind, but I am probably going to forget, to be honest. I'm probably going to forget some of these, and I don't want to, but there's a lot going on and I'm processing a lot. So if you have that request, just comment on the end of this video or send me a message. Aquarimax, a contact form is fine. Instagram's fine, Facebook Messenger, whatever. Just send me a message, a direct message, or comment directly on this video after it goes up, and then I will be able to write everything down and start talking to my daughter about it. And oh, and my Isopods with me, yeah. Reptile focused channels. Well, I'm glad that I do some reptile stuff. I love reptile stuff. I super enjoy it. So I would actually do more reptile videos than I'm doing now if I thought I could get away with it, and I might, especially when my garter snakes start getting active in the spring, start breeding. I'm just about to wake up my red-sided garters, by the way. So Luke, I am your father. What smaller isopod species would you keep in a bioactive Madagascar hissing roach setup? Thanks. Ooh, good question. You could go with something like Venizilo parvis, because you're not going to be having live plants. Well, if you do have live plants, don't put Venizilo parvis in there. For sure, do not. They will eat your plants. You could do Silisticus convexus. You could do Marulinella species of Vietnam. You could do dwarf whites. People do dwarf whites with Madagascar hissing cockroaches. You could do even some of, you could do Cubaris marina. They would probably do well in there. So there you go. Destructive warehouse. Confirmed my Silisticus convexus are breeding. Excellent. Do you have wild types or Ukraine pieds? Newberger. I just failed breeding my jumping spider with the same female who was successful in her first try with a different male. What if there's a rule not to breed the same female more than once? Um, I think people do it. People definitely do it more than once. Uh, I don't know. That's a good question. You might check with Spooter Shop. Theropod hunter. Green anoles are pretty cool. That was my first reptile pet ever when I was 10. And I didn't know what I was doing, of course, but I loved my anoles, the anoles that we had. I grew up calling them anoles. Anole is a more accurate way to pronounce it. Grayson, I'm going to get blue death fainting beetles. Any tips for keeping them? Yeah, well, check out my video on Friday that comes out because I'll be talking about that, maybe some more updated information. Keep in mind that they eat a lot of insects in the wild. They're not hunters. They tend to be scavengers, but they do eat a lot of insect material. Over 60% of their diet is that. So keep that in mind. If you can offer them, it doesn't have to be, you can offer them dried insects and they will eat those, especially dried crickets. But they'll also eat freshly killed crickets and other insects, and the freshly killed ones are hydrating, and so that's good to keep in mind. So there's a tip for you. I see crystals is here as well. So Shane, are there any climate conditions associated with Porcellia warneri breeding? Otherwise, any time of year you typically see them. I haven't been working with that species long enough to know. I'm a really recent owner of Porcellia warneri. I do understand that they are seasonal breeders. In my colony now, I have a young of about 3 ages, but I'm not sure they came that way. I haven't seen any tiny, newly emerged Mankai yet. So hard to say, but it looks like there are about 3 cohorts of offspring in there. So the colony was doing well when I adopted it, but I only adopted it a few weeks ago. And okay. Oh, millipedes are possible. Somebody sent me a crochet millipede that I still have. It's pretty cool. There are a lot of patterns on the internet. And Jotaro 925, that is an excellent idea. I've been listening to the Animals at Home podcast, Dylan Perrin. He recently did an episode on the long-tailed grass lizards. I don't know, I can't remember the genus name right now. I know it. I can't remember it right now. Anyway, he talked to Mike Taitula and I can't remember the name of the other person he was talking to, but they were talking about the long-tailed grass lizards, and they sound fantastic. It just about sold me on those. They seem almost as interactive as emerald tree skinks. They're a bit smaller in terms of like body size. Their tails are actually longer. They seem really cool. I see Mr. and Mrs. Morelia is here. Awesome. Welcome. Okay. So, Ramingo, out of those 3 isopod colonies, Gestroid, Granulatum, and Fontirostre, I think Granulatum and Gestroid is pretty close to a tie in size. Pretty close. They're you can get. I've seen them both, the maximum size ones. They're pretty much tied. I don't know exactly which one gets bigger, but they're so close that I honestly don't think it would matter because they're both big. And Fronterostre, I've never seen get as big as Gestroy and Granulatum. Not to say that it can't, but I've never seen it get that big. And I would say, hands down, my personal opinion, Gestroy, all the way. They are a brighter isopod. They're very, very active. The Granulatum is cool, but it looks like a cheap knockoff version of Gestroy. In my opinion, it's still a cool isopod. I still keep it, but I'm just saying, Gestroy is cooler, in my opinion. More beautiful. You see it all the time. Super active. Easy to keep. Can't say enough about Gestroy. Super cool. Go with Gestroy if you want my opinion.